Maru, TY, Classic, Bunny.
Welcome back, everybody. GSL Codas returns now with the with the winners match. I'm the first guy to just die mid-sentence. I'm like, we're here with the winners match of Group A. It is going to be a PvT. Now, obviously, Maru, he's kind of the favorite for the whole tournament. But the reality is that Classic's looking really good. He had a great game against Bunny. It would be exciting to see him pull this off, and we don't know exactly what he's got planned here for Maru in this PvT.
Yeah, Classic looked phenomenal in that series. I mean, Game 2, it was a little bit shaky, but in Game 1 and Game 3, coming out with some crazy builds in Game 1, and then in Game 3, just doing really clever play. And it was so solid, too, from start to finish. I mean, going for Templar first opening and just controlling the map, expanding at a rapid pace, and really just completely dictating the flow. If you think back at all the PvTs that we saw, which admittedly was not many because the Protoss just lost so quickly.
Yeah, we didn't have many Protoss
in the last season.
Yeah.
It felt like Terran just kind of setting the pace of the game, setting the tone of the game, and Protoss had to survive effectively.
Sure.
But Classic with that opening just had a perfect read on exactly what to do, when to do it, and from start to finish, it just felt like he was in complete control, and it was so refreshing to watch.
And
I missed this, by the way.
They're doing the Hot Six promo over there. Looking at TY and how he's played so far, he looks good, but I'm worried he's not in shape to be in the round of 8. And with the fact that already we've had Classic beat Bunny, it is looking like even if Classic can't win here, he may be the guy that will advance second. Now, that's exciting when you consider the fact that Protoss barely existed in Season 1. So we kind of want to see some more Protosses do well here in Season 2.
Yeah, but for TY, it's tough to gauge exactly where he's at because he hasn't played a lot of televised matches, right? And even qualifying for GSL Codas this season, he beat Classic 2-0 in the qualifiers. And so, of course, that's a tournament where you don't have as much time to prepare for each opponent. It's more like a bracket that you play through like a weekend tournament. But he beat Armani, he beat Scarlet, he beat Classic to get here for Codas. So at least for TY, should we go to a match where Classic and TY have to play each other to advance, maybe TY has a chance of making it, but with the Classic that we're seeing so far today, who knows, man? Maybe he could take on Maru.
I would love to see that. That would be really exciting. We're going to start this out on Royal Blood. Classic already showing a very big range of play, and you have to imagine whatever the best PvT he has in store for us, it's going to be here against Maru. So I'm very curious what he's got planned here. Maru, he's always looking very on top of it. This should be an exciting match.
It should be very good, and especially seeing the builds that Classic cooked up in that first series, you got to know that he has more tricks up his sleeve here. So we go to map number 1, Classic versus Maru in the winners match of Group A.
Twisted Minds, Classic. Onside Gaming, Maru.
I'm super excited for this game. We've got a probe out, by the way, again. Now, most of the games, the probe did not actually make anything in the middle of the map. But, let's see what he's got in store for us here this time around.
Yeah, but this was the map where it did.
Yeah.
So we have to see exactly what the plan's going to be. Fans for the USA, good luck with your game. Welcome, everybody. So good to have you with us.
So good to have you guys
Absolutely
down here.
Love having an audience back here at the GSL.
I
Totally
know,
different
my
vibe.
mood is so elevated. I was a bit of a doomer day 1 of Season 1.
It was
I don't know
a
if it was
downer.
obvious. We came in here and the studio was empty and we were like, whoa.
No, we turn on the screens for the first time and we see like the theme of the season is chains. It's like,
yeah,
no.
Yes. It's because GSL's in jail.
All right, so we have a proxy gate coming out here at Tasteless.
Yeah, this is cool. And
It's a second proxy gate, so there's not second proxied, but one in the main base, one proxied out on the map. And if this goes unscouted here by Maru, as he is now going for the low ground scout, potentially checking that gold base.
Yeah, and remember that this is a kind of build, almost like a meal. It like pairs with what happened earlier on. Yeah, he's like, okay, are you going to make a Nexus here? Now, we've seen this build a lot. This is a very good way to bully the low ground. For the Terran and kind of take control early on, because you get a lot of momentum by having that second gate in the middle of the map.
Could you imagine if Classic just expands to the other gold base? Because almost always you expand vertically to the gold base on this map as Protoss, but what if he just goes horizontal?
That would be sick, actually, if he did.
By the way, is down here.
And there's an SCV that's being hidden on the far left. Is he going to make something down here, like a starport maybe?
Factory finished up, and yeah, starport is going down.
Very cool. That being said, you know, the proxied gate activates a little bit quicker here.
Yeah, also, notably, there is not room for an add-on on that starport right now, so probably going to be, I would think, a Liberator or a Medevac for a push, but it's going to be gold base here horizontally by Classic. And also, this proxied Stalker hitting so fast right now. That's, what, 5, 6, 7
up next
SCVs?
Here, I'm getting my lotto numbers from State. I can't believe you actually called that.
Oh, 2 Marines already go down as well. This Widowmine will put a damper on this a bit, unless Classic's able to pick it off or have some sick dodge or the Adept. I think he might try and go for it. He's going to try and thread the needle here, see exactly where that beam is. And yeah, with a shade, he's able to get the vision. He's going to try and do it a little bit too fast there.
Yeah, that's a kind of a haunting moment. These little micro moments could have completely changed the way the game was going had he actually baited that out.
It's so difficult to do that correctly, though. It's one of the finer things you have to really map out in your head, right, with these things. Because if it goes wrong, I mean, you just suddenly lose all your vision up the ramp.
Yeah, you can't do anything.
Oh, there's a Stargate proxied here, too. And it's actually going to be, I was wrong, excuse me. I thought the starport was further down, but it will be a tech lab and a Banshee.
I think you were right. I think he had to move it. I thought the same thing. I thought there's no way he can get an add-on there. Looks like he has an extra probe and gas. That's not the end of the world, but
he's rallying all those probes to gas, and I think it's for this recall, and I think now he's going to pull them onto minerals.
Oh, yeah. Good call, yeah.
This is one of the best parts about doing this build here as Protoss also, is that you don't need to build your SCVs or your drones from that hatchery or have this long transfer. You recall, and then instantly they're there. And
yeah, I mean, not having to have the lost mining time of the transit of the workers going from there across the map is really nice as well.
Now, this is Cloak, Banshee, and Phoenixes are out on the map without an Oracle, so there's a lot of potential for damage to be found here by Maru, which is concerning here for Classic. But again, having that gold base, I think Classic can afford to lose a couple of probes in the main and still be relatively even, because I don't even think Maru has a scout on that just yet. The Reaper now coming into the main base means that Maru will know.
Yeah, you're going to see that there's nothing there. You're like, damn, one gateway play still. So, yeah, he's right now, yeah, immediately Maru goes, okay, we got to get on the map and figure out what's going on.
Still 1 CC for Maru, by the way, so this is going to be a heavily committed push.
Yeah, anything he can clip off here, Classic can, is going to be good. Like that one Marine, that's actually pretty big. A scan here, he sees the target. Wow.
Meanwhile, Classic expanding to the gold base on the top left side as well, setting up a contain here on the main base, and Maru is actually happy for this to happen because that means these Phoenixes are not back at home trying to intercept the Cloak Banshee coming in, and while these siege tanks will fall, the Banshee's starting to rack up the kills back at home.
That was an odd little back and forth.
Yeah.
He was like lifting the tank up and sniping it when he should have been sniping the tank that wasn't lifted up and killing that. I think that actually Classic could have won that fight. If we could like go back and watch that in slow-mo, it was like a really weird moment where it's like, now I mean, that being said, Maru might still lose this game, right? He doesn't have any tanks for the time being, but that was kind of a funny moment.
Yeah, it was an awkward one for sure. And now this Cloak Banshee here at the gold base. Second expansion here for Classic. The Oracle will be able to clean this up, but there are 3 Banshees already on the field and a 4th one also in production. So all these probes are just running around the map. 20 of them in total have gone down. Now the Oracle, it's very limited with these revelations, right? You have to fly it all the way around to these very different locations to try and grasp control of the situation. And although that fight did not go as well for Classic as it could have, he still killed those tanks, but the worker count's now 26 to 22 in Maru's favor.
Yeah, Maru's ahead, but a gold base makes all the difference in the world. He's still making tanks one by one. Oh my God, can he get this Banshee?
Yeah, I can't cloak either.
That's a nice catch. So there's another one coming down, but when you have Phoenixes out, you can just scoop up the tank and assassinate it. I mean, it's a very easy way to approach the game. He's gonna go for the battery now.
Yeah, won't make it easier for him to pick off these probes. Now they have to vacate the vicinity. Stalker is getting warped in. I would love for Classic just make one more Oracle to try and get, you know, this situation firmly under control, as there is still one more Banshee on the map. It is here by the starport. Another one actually in production. So, you know, for Maru right now on one base still, keep in mind, he really has to keep this damage coming because, as you said, the gold bases, they do make the difference. It is 25 workers for Classic to the 27 of Maru, but the mineral income, even with mules, should be relatively close.
Okay, now 3 tanks out, 3 Phoenixes if he needs to.
I'm surprised.
Here we go.
I am surprised Classic went for that fight there. That was a ton of Marines.
The Marines alone were enough of a threat. Another miscalculation, another moment where he miscontrols a little bit here.
And the real threat now for Classic is that his army does not scale well over time, whereas Maru's absolutely does with combat shields, with eventually stim.
But it's still one base.
Yeah, actually no tac labs on these barracks
so
either, so...
It's a real slow drip of units coming out for Terran. It's scary, and every time we see Classic mismanage a fight, it gets even scarier, but...
Yeah, hold on.
Can he just evacuate the probes
He
kind of
should
buy
be,
time? I mean, he can kind of he's got 3 different spots on the map, right?
He should be recalling these out.
Oh my God, a counter.
Yeah, recall up here to this gold base. There's a Banshee waiting for them though, as even more probes go down, but I actually didn't catch until now that Maru doesn't have any tac labs on any barracks. So there's no stim, there's no combat shields underway, but still 30 Marines on the field. This is a ton.
Wow, look at that. He kills the Nexus and just goes immediately to the next spot.
Yeah, he's gonna try.
He's gonna try to decapitate him. He's gonna go right in here like a stake into the heart. He's gonna try to just kill Classic and hit him where it hurts most. Because from there, he could just sit back and produce, right? He's going to be able to kill this Nexus and all the infrastructure unless Classic has an answer right here, right now.
Yeah, but with only 31 army supply, I don't think he is going to have an answer, Tasteless. These gateways firmly unpowered, so the production all but non-existent here for Classic. And finally, he's going to be able to clean up this Banshee here on the top side. But the standing army for Classic just does not have a chance against 36 Marines and 4 siege tanks of Maru. The main Nexus will fall. And after an absolutely crazy map number 1, with Maru still on one base at 10 minutes and Classic expanding to both golds, I think Terran's gonna get the better end of this one.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Protoss wants to try to come in here for a trade, and maybe they can get a little bit of that off here. I'm surprised he's not pulling SCVs, but it looks like Maru has the math better than me. He says he can get this exactly. GG, what an interesting game. Yeah, by the way, I really thought Classic had that earlier on.
It did look like it, but the Banshees just completely gave him the runaround. There was a Banshee to the main base, in the gold base on the bottom right side, and the gold base at the top left side. There was no safe place for the probes to be at all, and with only one Oracle made over the duration of that game, I mean, it was just like whack-a-mole, because the starport, I don't even know if it got scouted, it just kept pumping out these Banshees for the longest period of time, and Classic just kept having to put out these fires, and eventually he ran out of steam. I mean, if he was able to just mine the bases that he had for even one more minute, then suddenly it's a different game where he's able to get, you know, 2 or 3 more rounds of warp-ins out and completely stop Maru's army from snowballing. But instead, Maru just, with fantastic harassment off of one base, able to power through.
And I think Classic tripped up a little bit when he engaged with the tanks earlier. I'll talk more about that in a second. We're going to go right into this game, guys. Game 2, Maru up with a 1-0 lead.
Season 2. Twisted Minds, Classic. Onside Gaming, Maru.
So yeah, I mean, the fights that we saw Classic take, if we could go back in that first game, it was a weird moment. Like when you pick up a tank with the Phoenix, the tank can't attack, right?
Right.
But I think the way that you want to distribute the damage, if there's 2 tanks and you have Phoenixes picking up 1, you want to target the tank that's on the ground with the Stalkers, or pick up both of them, right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So what happened was he would pick up the tank that was disabled and fire at that, and that allowed an extra volley off, which, you know, that might seem inconsequential, but when you have a Terran on one base, who the only way he's going to win that is to power across the entire map and take it, that's a real micro error. And we actually saw that even before when he missed micro the Adept against the Widow Mine. There were moments where like Classic could have created an advantage if he could execute his unit control better. And he failed about 2 or 3 times back there.
Yeah, and those mistakes, they do add up.
Yeah.
I would love to get a replay of that first engagement there in game 1, because I wasn't paying too much attention to the micro. I was more surprised that Classic went for the fight at all, because it felt like, at least from my perspective, he can't really afford to shut out Phoenixes in that situation. But
well, you might actually be 100% right about that. Like, if he's on one base, why do you ever want to engage when you don't have to? Wait until the last second. That's why you have a gold base, right? Is you're trying to get the advantage. You're trying to build up the momentum.
Yeah. It is difficult, though, because, again, over time, the Marine tank ball... Oh, by the way, this proxy is going to get scattered here by the Reaper for Maru. So Classic's plan already going awry in this game. But just to touch back on that in game number 1 is, you know, if Terran is just building Marines and siege tanks, that army is going to scale way better than your Gateway army without charge, without blink, without any splash damage in sight. And so there is an incentive for you, even if Terran is on one base, to try to whittle down their army to a manageable size, even if the traits aren't the best for you. But it's a fine line you have to walk. It's very dangerous as a Protoss player, because one bad engagement, as we saw there, can start to snowball in Terran's favor, and then suddenly you're on the back foot. You can't really take any good follow-up engagements there as Protoss, and things start to fall apart.
Yeah. By the way, Maru just really exhibiting great instinct in that game. Like, that's a very weird game. You can see that was like part 2 of the weird build order from the second best of 3 that we had from Classic earlier.
Yeah.
Right? Where he's like, all right, this is the sequel to that build that's even weirder. And Maru was able to actually handle it in a really tough spot. It's very hard if you're on one base and they did a cheese build and took a gold base to actually push out and win.
If Maru wins this series in advance, I would love to see Classic play on Royal Blood again, so we turn that sequel into a trilogy, because
right.
I want to see what other tricks he has up his sleeve on this map.
Yeah, because he's got some very cool ideas that he's tinkering with here.
Yeah, Adepts get deflected without too much problem this time. These 2 Adept openings here from Classic have been quite effective up until this point so far today. And the Oracle now coming into the natural expansion. A lot of Marines here will be able to shoo that away. And actually a Liberator in production here for Maru as well. And no follow-up Stargate units from Classic.
So, we are just going to have, it looks like Protoss back up for a little bit here. He's not going to commit anywhere. He's basically dialing into the same idea that we had in the other Classic game, PvT, where he basically went for, you know, a very passive 3-base into Stalkers with Blink, a couple Phoenixes, you know, kind of reactive style play.
Yeah, I think most games that we see from Classic today, and frankly, probably most other Protoss players in this tournament in PvT, are going to kind of look a little bit more like this, where, you know, the way that you open up, the path that you take to getting to Blink Stalkers and Colossus at the 3rd base is going to be different, but more often than not, you're going to try and end up exactly here and be able to stabilize on those 3 bases, because only really truly then, unless you're doing some kind of crazy cheese like we saw on Royal Blood, are you able to truly start to play your game. Oh, this... I'll get scanned.
He's going to see that. That's unfortunate. Is he going to try to come towards here anyway, so he'll just be able to gun that down. Kind of a scary moment. Notice that there are 5 SCVs with this. So he's very committed. He's basically trying to leverage the repair to the point, and you know, he can, oh, he almost actually picks up that tank.
Yeah, he can also lift. There's no shield battery ready. Actually, Probe's going to get pulled, and the Oracle falls as well. So Classic in dire straits right now as siege tank volleys, even hitting the Probes. ton of damage going down. Only 3 more Stalkers on the field. 20 probes already fallen, and I think in the blink of an eye, Maru's going to be advancing from
Is that
Group
actually
A.
it? Yeah, I guess it is.
I think it is, man.
Man, you know, Maru has such a good handle on like what needs to be done in these very, very specific situations. By the way, that's going to be at the snowballing with their tank repair.
Yeah, there was a Liberator in the
Okay.
main base behind that too.
Oh, was
completely
there?
denying minerals. So
Well-
Maru just firing all cylinders. I didn't really catch exactly the severity of the situation that Classic was in until it was all but too late.
Yeah, I mean, he just has that calculus down. He's like, oh, the batteries are a little bit delayed, and I killed off 1 or 2 units earlier on. I actually just win this game. And comes out, and it's like, it's just too much. It's funny, too, even when the Immortal was out, I'm like, well, hold on. Can he kill the Cyclone and the tank? No. No. 5 SCVs is enough to repair that to where a tank will not die.
Yeah, that Oracle opening and then going into a third Nexus a little bit too greedy. But tough, you gotta take those risks as Protoss in this matchup sometimes.
Absolutely.
You want to come out with a win.
And we're going to have an interview now with Maru. Let's see how he's feeling. He is moving on to the round of 8. No shockers there. Hungry for yet another GSL victory.
축하합니다. 경기 축하드립니다.
Congratulations, Maru. He says thank you.
당연하다라는 표정이긴 한데 일단 8강에 진출하신 소감 먼저 이야기해 주시죠.
Looks like you're set to make it to the quarterfinals. How are you feeling? Personally, I thought this group was very tough. I wasn't sure if I'd be advancing, so I'm very glad I managed to do so.
좀 힘든 경기가 있었다는 경기가 있었나요?
Any match that stood out to you? Anything that was really difficult? Game 1 against Classic was a very complicated match. It was a very unusual situation I was faced with.
평양의 투우주공항 원 군수공장이었잖아요. 그거 다 안 돌아가지 않나요?
그냥 돈 되는 대로 막 지었는데 해병이 피가 없어가지고 어쩔 수 없었던 것 같아요.
You had a lot of different builds that were used here today.
해설 중에 자유의 날개 오픈 시즌을 경험했던 선수라 그게 가능했다라고 얘기를 했어요. 그게 좀 도움이 됐을까요?
오래 하다 보니까.
I think they're talking about Game 1 and the second best of 3 about it, just kind of trying to take every little bit of advantage of his economy.
좀 띄워줘야 돼.
아, 네. 자, 그리고 결국에는 이제 김도우 선수를 상대로 2대0 오늘 뭐 사실
JYP said he
어떤
gave you
마인드로
advice some
왔나요?
earlier. Did that play any role there for you earlier? And he says yes.
이재선을 만날지 몰랐겠지만 굉장히 좀
So you faced off against
안정적으로
TY.
운영을 하려고 했던 것 같거든요. 초반도 그렇고.
안정적으로 하면은 제가 후반.
You weren't sure you were going to face after that.
그냥.
What did you prepare for today?
끝나지만 말자라고 생각해서 그렇게 한 것 같아요.
최근에 이제 테난드
What I came in here thinking was I don't want to try to finish the games too early. I want to let the games pan out.
압도적인 스코어와 전적에 비하면 최근에 조금 뭐 패한 경험이 있었어요. 이런 것들이 좀 부담이 되진 않아요.
사실 부담되진 않는데 감가 너무.
You've shown a very dominant one-sided performance with TVT in the past, but recently it seems like it's been a little bit tougher for you. Can you tell us about that? Yes, that's true. I think I've had some mental blocks with the matchup itself.
극강의 모습이 나온다고 생각을 하거든요. 좀 차이점이 있나요?
저는 해외 대회도 잘한다고 생각해서.
네. 근데 이번에 12강에서 탈락했잖아요.
그건 어쩔 수 없었어요.
네, 알겠습니다.
제 의지가 아니었기 때문에.
아, 그러면 뭐
They're asking if he feels differently if he plays in domestic games versus overseas games. He says, no, he doesn't feel a difference.
이제 B조 경기가 목요일에 있거든요. 김준호.
He also mentioned, I think I'm okay at overseas games as well.
변현우. 두 명만 꼽아주시죠. 8강에 진출할 선수 예상.
너무 뻔하게 하면 재미없을 것 같은데 좀 분명히 정해져 있어가지고.
Who do you think will make it to the quarterfinals from other groups?
분명히 올라올 것 같아요.
Any predictions?
네.
I think Hero, did you catch the other one?
Hero and
자, 8강 진출하신 거 다시 한번 축하드리고
Or maybe Ragnarok has a chance to advance.
인터뷰 마무리하겠습니다.
오늘
Any words to the fans? I'm sorry I missed that other name,
I
guys.
think it was Beyond.
Oh, Beyond. Okay.
재밌게 보시다.
I'm so excited to see fans, especially here in the studio. I hope you guys enjoyed the games today and enjoyed the season of GSL. Thank you very much. All right, they congratulate him once more. Ah, my phone. All right. My casting phone.
Casting phone.
Yeah.
Fun group so far, man. Maru advancing in first place. That was a really good series against Classic.
It was actually really interesting to see how Maru dealt with that. Again, Classic with 2 gold bases on opposite sides of the map. Knew exactly how to thread that needle and close that out. He is unsurprisingly the first player who's going to move on to the round of 8. Is he going to gobble up another GSL victory? Could happen. And for now, we're going to have to see who's going to be that final survivor of Group A. We got a short break, and coming up next, we're going to eliminate our first player. Don't go away.